I'm Marty Neinstead. I am Executive Director of HR and Operations. To my left is,
Lisa Mirando, Director of Finance and Business.
and to my right,
Michelle Caudill, school board member. Christy Weiler, school board member. Oh, okay.
you guys can start whichever way you want.
Oh, we'll start on that end. Just go
Great.
Luke Weeds, SHS.
Jill Becker, SNS. Liz Cremens, SHS.
Sarah Everson, Northern Hills.
Mike Holt, SMS.
Perfect. We'll just get rolling, and today what we hope to do is make sure that we got clarification on everything, so we're both sides kind of have an idea of what's going on. I'm going to start off with new money estimated from the state. Anticipated increase in revenue of $1,116,670. Breakage has not been finalized because, as you guys know, that is still in flux. In fact, this afternoon I got a phone call from somebody that just this afternoon decided that they wanted to retire. So we worked through that a little bit. Always excited for folks when they're to that point and that stage. Always encourage you to make that decision maybe a little earlier. Breakage looking right now probably around 403,806, which is a good thing. It's a positive thing for dollar-wise. SPED increase is 576,795. LOB authority increase will be 558,843. Total revenue increase estimated at 2,656,114. Now some additional costs. This first one is actually a very good one. If you remember last year, it was about $250,000 that our property and casualty insurance went up. Our property insurance is anticipated right at $10,000. It was about as flat. $10,000 on $750,000 is a good. I can live with that increase. Fulfilling agreement on the additional $1,500 per cell for column MA60, what we agreed on last year, will be roughly $73,500. SPED programming cost increases. That's a combination of things that we had paid in the past for with ESSER. Some of that increase year over year is just raises, which that's not included in that amount. And some of it was captured correctly and we had not captured it correctly. Lisa was able to identify things that we were coding wrong and we were charging to a different area. Last year, the increase in the amount of money we spent for SPED was about $850,000. But we think that 558 is probably more realistic. 596, sorry. Step and column, excluding the new column, is 200,893. Utility costs based upon what we are seeing is 48,158. Average product inflation for general product costs, 52,500. General fund cost to replace ESSER for clubs, intervention, things of that nature, 79,000. Health insurance, I'm still waiting on United Health to get back with what our rates are going to be. Because they did not have us as a customer prior to September 1st, there is a lag. And there's always a lag, but because we've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield forever, they would just roll that and however they work that stuff out. So I'm still waiting on that. One of the things that we would suggest, and I'll go ahead and throw it out now, would be an additional $50 per month towards the plan. So it would go from $490 to $540 towards health insurance on the district each month. That would be an additional cost of $240,000. And then the breakdown for about $100 per cell costs roughly $32,500. And the breakdown at 500, 1,000, and 1,500. I'll jump into number 2.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay, so first off, I noticed that the property insurance numbers that you had given me earlier actually went down, which was fabulous.
Absolutely, because
Yes.
that was originally estimated at 10%, and
So,
it ended up being
yeah.
about 1.6.
So that was fabulous. On the spreadsheet that you had sent us, you had the licensed staff at step and column of 274,300. And then over in the parentheses, you have includes the MA60 cost.
Correct.
So that includes the negotiated automatic increase for that MA60
Yeah.
column, correct?
Correct.
Does that include anybody also moving into the MA60 column, or is that just for the people that are already in the MA60 column figuring that?
The ones that we know of at this point.
Okay,
Now, we could hire somebody that could end up being there, but they're not gonna have an increase, they're just gonna be a replacement for somebody else, so that would end up being in breakage somewhere.
correct. Okay.
But yeah, that should.
Okay, so everybody who you already knew
We
was going to be
believe-
or in that
Yes,
column?
we believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question really quick.
Sure.
Can you tell me what the beginning number was for the health insurance rate estimate? It was what adding the $50 became?
Currently, we contribute $490 a month,
Thank you.
and that would take us to $540.
Got it. Thank you.
Marty, can you tell us, like with the sped programming increase, you said that they used some money that we were using for like we used ESSER for some things. What things were we using? Do you know?
I
Can you find out?
I don't know. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
find out.
Like
similar
what?
to, because it had the same restrictions as regular Ed Esser, so
So we're
some
going to continue with
curriculum.
them. We're just
Right.
Will you just find out what those things were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we good? Are we good on money? Questions for you? Okay. Let's keep going.
The board is suggesting that we increase driver's education from the $30 to the $50. What we've discovered is by looking at other districts, we're not very competitive right now. We're lower. I'll let you guys think about that.
We've already talked about that. We do not see a reason to not increase it to the 50.
I think if you guys are good with it, a tentative agreement
Yeah,
on that
and
one.
then that way
I know
our
we won't-
drivers-
We probably won't have very many of those right
Correct.
today, but
But that way our driver's ed teachers
Absolutely.
can also.
yes, I
With that,
agree.
yep.
We're glad to do that. District is suggesting changing the sick leave buyback upon retirement to simplify the formula to be $96 per day up to 100 days. This would eliminate the proration formula and make it easier for anyone retiring to understand the amount that they would receive.
Is 96 just a part of the formula?
96 is the most that you would ever get. Mike, if you were the only person retiring, so that we didn't have to do the proration factor, and you had 100 days, the most that you would get would be $96 per day. So no one's gonna lose money on this. But I would tell you, since I've been here, no one has gotten paid the whole amount because we always exceed that cap of $22,000. It would make it easier for anybody retiring to be able to say, I know at the end of the year I'm gonna have whatever the number of days is. 100's the easy one because that's what the max is. And then you're gonna know that it's gonna be 9,600. Obviously, taxes are still out of that and all that. But it ends up being better than, the most recent one that I can think of, there was one that instead of 9,600, because of the proration factor, it ends up being like 8,900 and something change. So that person's gonna end up losing $700 basically because of the proration factor. To change it to this would just simplify it. Everybody would be able to know it. It doesn't actually cost teachers anything. And the fact of the matter is it probably benefits you. The reality is that that person that only has 50 days is still going to get it at the $96 rate and all that stuff. It just makes it a little bit less complicated.
And that would be just for retirement, not the people who buy back
Correct.
during
That's
the year.
Yeah.
Because
the
that's
other-
a percentage.
Right, that's
Okay.
it's a whole different part in the negotiated agreement,
Okay.
yeah. Tuition incentive, I know that you guys indicated an increase the amount teachers receive and or the number of hours teachers can submit for reimbursement.
Some of that is based on information that we need to get from you guys.
Sure.
We don't have an idea of that just now, but I wanted to put it in there. I know this last year we had given an increase, and I was kind of wondering how that was working
I
out.
was curious too.
And
Have
this is
we-
about that time where we had all that because all of it starts to come in at this point.
Right.
We'll get that.
Okay.
And for the next meeting, should be able to have, I don't know, I have no idea. I wouldn't even want to speculate. Supplemental pay. Association proposes evaluating supplementals to determine if they reflect amount of work they represent. Did you have something specific? Or-
At this time, I do not. There could be something, but we would know that by the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Extra duty pay. Association proposes extra duty pay for non-CASA activities and clubs.
So I know last year we had talked about this, but as a team, we have also found that some teachers' requests for extra duty have been denied, even though they were working on something with students or they were for a club, but they don't have a supplemental for that club.
Can you give an example?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I remember seeing an email about it, which is why we talked about it. But I thought we had talked about it last time.
I
Yeah.
recall,
I remember us talking about it.
I do too. So like what would be a non-Keisha club?
Well, there actually multiples are non-Keisha clubs.
Because our
Um,
Keisha clubs are like
So like,
your,
I mean, you're talking anything from Dungeons and Dragons
okay.
to, was that one of
Yes,
them?
that
Yeah.
was one of them.
So any of the smaller clubs
Yeah.
within the secondary level. Also, I don't know if everybody at the elementary levels who might be running clubs are getting it. I know that like Northern Hills has a running club
Yeah.
that meets a couple of nights a week. I don't know what other clubs the other places might have, but
I know I personally go through every single extra duty sheet that comes in, because right now we're trying to figure out how much we're spending at ESSER on those types of things. I have not denied any of them that have come through.
I think they're
Is that
getting
what you're
denied
doing?
at a different level.
Okay.
I was getting ready to ask
no,
who,
yeah.
what's the chain of
We may
command
say,
on
hey,
that?
what's this abbreviation for? Because
Right.
there's all sorts of abbreviations. But once we get clarity, we just attach it and move
Yeah.
on. So.
Thank you.
Sorry, we have to submit them to our building principal first, and our building principal is the one that approves them, and then they send them to the office.
So they go through the principal.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
Yes,
And then straight to the business office?
Yes.
There's no
Yes.
one in between there?
Not that I know of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
is that how it is at the high school level too?
And middle school?
Yep. All extra
Well,
duty.
secondary.
Yeah. All extra duty gets approved by a building administrator.
Principal,
Maybe you don't know this, but, or maybe if Lisa hasn't seen any denials, the number of requests from each building.
We don't have a way of knowing that
No,
because
not-
it's just a paper form.
I know,
And
I'm just also asking like, how many like are actually being denied in like a certain building compared to?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
I don't think they ever come here once they're.
No, yeah, you never would see them
Okay.
So when they get denied, they just go
in the trash. Yep.
and not seen on a paycheck.
Do they know why it was denied?
I would hope the building principal would have that conversation with that person, but I don't know for sure.
Thank you.
I mean, of course, every administrator is different, and some
Right.
might have a conversation and some might just say denied.
Okay. Thank you.
Salary placement. Association would like to have a conversation about salary schedule placement.
This has to do with individuals who come into teaching from a non-traditional route. For example, I know that we've had a few individuals come in who have a degree in a field, but not necessarily with a teaching license. And I did not know the procedure. We were kind of talking about how, our concern is, are we placing someone who has a lot of education and knowledge in a BAA
Right.
and trying to attract
Right,
those
and it
people with
depends.
that knowledge?
Right, and it depends on what program or what program they've gone through. If they're in the transition to teaching, they don't have a teaching license yet,
Right?
and then everything changes once they do. We make that adjustment when they do, but initially they're typically placed on BAA because they don't have anything that it would be a credential for teaching. We could certainly have that discussion.
Okay.
If you guys, I'll be honest with you, I kind of suspected that you guys might be more the other way, not wanting them moved farther.
I don't
but
necessarily, so
That's
if you,
BAA.
It's the step one.
It's the-
column one.
yeah,
Thank
a
you.
very
I know
first year
I've heard
teacher
it, but
would
I
be
had to
on.
make sure.
Unless they've gone,
Okay.
unless they've gone.
Unless they've gone and taken classes in which they move over.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
And I think our thought was that we don't necessarily think that they need to be on a BA 24 automatically, but that if they've been working in the field for a number of years and just have those life experiences for that, that maybe they're still in the BA, but not in an A. Because they're working on their license,
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's,
That
I
makes sense.
think that's a reasonable thing to discuss, and as long as we come to an agreement and consistent, sure. Absolutely.
Would that, assuming that would affect only new hires coming in, we're not going,
correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. we wouldn't
No, that is would
rather
be a
bother anybody here.
take it away from you.
correct.
Recording leave, association proposes altering how leave is recorded for certified staff.
So we were wondering,
Sure.
could we do leave by the hour?
That's a good question.
Because some days you don't need to take like a full half day
Right.
or a full day, or you just need like 2 hours
Right.
for like an appointment or something.
Let me,
Like we
Check
work,
and
we all
see.
work really hard to try to put appointments at the very end or very beginning of the day. But if we've got to take if we've got to take a half day, might as well put it at 10. Like there's no incentive for teachers to put those appointments at the very beginning of the day and then come.
yeah, if you're gonna, that's understood. Let me see what the system allows. Not to say that would determine whether we do it or not, but that could be a hurdle that we have to figure out. But that makes sense.
Question,
Yes,
planning periods.
yes.
Can you use, that's just your planning period for appointment times?
So
or do you
most-
have to be in the
Most building principals will look the other way if you say, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment. I'm going to be a little bit late, but I'm only missing part of my plan. Okay, see you. However, the issue with that is at the elementary level, your planning period is only about 45 minutes to 50 minutes
Right.
long.
Right,
And it's usually, like, there are very few that are at the very beginning or very end of the day. It's usually only one
In the
grade
middle.
level there, so it's usually
Yeah.
stuck in the middle. So when you're this far out and having an appointment and you know,
I was just
Yeah,
curious
so, I mean-
how it's looked at if you leave during a planning period.
I would say
I would
it
say
depends on the building.
it does depend on the building, but I would say the majority of the buildings kind of are like,
Support us.
so yeah, are supportive and go, well, we don't need to find a sub for you,
Right.
you know, you're fine.
Typically,
Yeah.
as long as they know that you're not gonna be there that time.
Right.
Heaven forbid, something bad happened in the building, they wanna know where everybody's at. The challenge, I would say, would be, can you get somewhere on your plan?
Not with 75 highway
No.
construction.
That'll help us in North Topeka.
Not right at the
I
moment.
was gonna say, anywhere in North
Right.
Topeka
You
going
can't
in
go
town.
anywhere. Okay, sorry. That was a squirrel moment. So when you take leave, I know you have to have a sub, right?
Right.
So is it difficult to find a sub for an hour versus a half a day?
So we would envision that that person would be covered just internally for that hour. And being a person who has covered internally and has seen the emails almost daily from a building administrator about who's gone and then getting asked to cover in various times and whatnot. From what I've observed, getting someone to cover for one class period or getting someone to cover the beginning of a class because you're going to come in is not all that difficult. It's when you have to cover a staff member for a full day or a half day or something, right? Because again, if you have to take an appointment and you're taking off a half day, they still have to cover you now for that full half day and not just for that hour you're going to be late to class.
And substitutes are hired at either, outside substitutes are hired for either half day or full day.
There's not an option of doing.
No, and it wouldn't benefit them
Yeah.
to, yeah.
That's why a lot of schools go with half day, full day, or 2-hour increments
Yeah.
for the subbing situation.
And this is just an assumption, assuming that if the teacher or whoever is gone for 1 to 2 hours, it's very rare that they end up having to take the rest of the day for leave. Like if something came up, am I right? That I'm sure it has happened, but it's probably pretty rare that.
I mean,
would
usually
just
that
come
when
back.
people have to be gone for, it's like, a dentist appointment or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's not,
Sometimes just stuff comes up like right after
yeah.
an appointment, then they're like, I'll just take the rest of the day.
I can't imagine that happens very often.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that's just where I work.
But that's even like if you want to go see your kid get a certificate or,
Right.
instead of taking a half a day, you.
I will say though, our buildings do. I'm gonna speak of my building. And I think a lot of buildings. I think our district is doing a good job or a better job of letting us support, run up and watch our kids or run
That's
wherever.
good.
I mean, I have experienced that all my years at Northern Hills and Seaman Middle School, that they were very supportive, all but one time, I should say. State basketball, they made us take off. But, it's a whole nother story. But, I think if we can run up and watch our kid get a certificate or run,
Yeah.
I think they do a good job at letting us just go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Cool.
that shows the support of our families. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
My experience has been similar.
yeah, I'm speaking my
My
experience in the
personal
building.
experience.
Yes.
Parental leave language. Association seeks to negotiate new language for board provided parental leave.
Are you ready for this one?
I'm not sure. I'm afraid. I thought I was, but maybe not now.
We would like to see board-provided parental leave.
Give me a little.
We are open to the amount of time. But last negotiation session, we had 2 districts within the capital UNISERV negotiate for parental leave. One was Silver Lake got 5 days. Another one got 2 weeks, 10 days. There are multiple districts that have noticed up parental leave around the state this year. help me out.
Winfield.
Winfield?
Oh,
Winfield
has six.
Winfield has 6 weeks of parental leave, board provided. We see it as extremely helpful to the young teachers. Usually it's your younger teachers who are starting families, having families, and those are also usually the teachers that have the least amount of leave. So having that least amount of leave, it's just automatically you are taking leave, like taking money from paychecks, and then they have less. Or they might have used up all their leave for that first initial weeks, but then you have follow-up appointments or something like that, and then they have to take without pay for any of those. And we think that parental leave is becoming more and more of an issue kind of just around the country. And we would like to see families supported in that way here at Seaman.
Do you have any language that, I know Lindsay's, yeah, I'm sure you do. If you could send it to me so that I can take a look. In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't mean this in any derogatory way, but maternity leave. If I would normally have taken maternity leave and I've got the 10 days that I actually have, that I use that up, but I need to be off for a longer period of time, or is it something else that?
Parental leave would be both maternity and paternity.
Right.
Yeah, and so we can look at it differently. We can have that discussion. We are open to kind of what
Sure.
we and you guys are comfortable with doing with that, but we can definitely get some language.
Yeah, if you guys have something and some examples.
Do
that'd
we
be great.
have maternity leave?
Nothing.
FMLA?
FMLA just provides,
Short-term.
FMLA just provides that the district will not fire you,
Right.
but it is not
Not
paid.
paid.
Right.
Okay.
So anytime anybody takes paternal leave, you take it out of your sick leave. And so
12 days.
if you don't, well, and backup, so anything that you have banked too.
Gotcha.
Oh,
So if you don't have your 6 weeks built up and you want to take, people kind of think the minimum is 6 weeks, right? So if you don't have a 6 weeks built up and you take 6 weeks, then you take however many you have left over without pay.
How long does it typically take to build 6 weeks?
Well, that's a good question.
I taught 6 years at Holton, and I took 2 days off, and I was able to have enough when I had Anna.
I am going to start my 23rd year of teaching, and
I mean,
have 10 days.
I mean,
How do they build up?
they,
Well, you get 12 a year. If you don't use them,
Yeah.
they just
They roll
Yeah.
over.
continue to
but
add.
then
So-
you're not gonna have any days when your kid gets sick,
Right, it
and
just,
your daycare closes.
I know.
it depends.
The,
So you get 12 a year.
Yeah.
Right.
yes,
And you
And if you don't
don't
use them, they can roll over
They
and you
go
can bank
into the
them.
bank.
Correct.
yes.
Right, and the bank they can actually
Up
have up to
to
120.
120
Yes.
But
days.
You can bank
Right.
those, but then
And
retirement.
if you accidentally get pregnant your second year of teaching in the district,
With twins.
Oh my god, that makes me so nervous.
then you don't have enough days. And so
Yeah.
you automatically get leave without pay. And I am not speaking from experience at all.
mine was
I
3
can't.
years in,
Okay,
and I had to take 10 days without pay.
okay.
And mine was over Christmas break, so while I had 6 weeks, it wasn't actually 6 weeks from school because I incorporated Christmas break into that.
So I guess if you're a teacher, you need to plan your pregnancy.
Most
If
of you do, don't you?
Mm,
Did have 2 summer babies.
I mean, they try.
I mean, theoretically, maybe.
Look at me. I'm
Yeah.
like, most of you do, don't you? No, I'm just kidding.
I plan on not having.
No, just some of the teachers that I work with are like, we try. Yeah, language would be good on that.
Go, you're okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, you would ask the question, Marty, like they exhaust their leave first, no, the difference with this language.
It would actually be ahead
is
before,
ahead,
right,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would,
Parental
the
leave
language would be a good
with
thing.
pay,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
But they're open to like however many days. Right.
Yeah.
right,
I mean, I think we can do
and I think you
Right.
guys' suggestion would be, it would be the first 5 days or 10 days, whatever the amount, for the sake of argument, and then it
Then they
would
would
kick
get their
in.
sick leave.
And if they decide that they want to do the 12 weeks,
They would do the
and they're in
short
year
term.
2, then they're probably not going to,
But people are making that decision, so, yeah.
right, absolutely,
And your short-term disability is different depending on what type of degree you have.
correct.
Six and eight.
All right. Item 26, which is actually number 10 on this list. Days on duty, length of duty day. Association seeks to negotiate work time at the beginning of the school year as the beginning of, and at the beginning of the second semester. I didn't type very well.
So most buildings do a good job of giving teachers classroom work time at the beginning of the year, but depending on what other meetings you have more or less than others. I mean, if you're coaching, you have different meetings you do. If you're in the special ed department, you have all meetings, like you are rarely in your classroom.
Last year. but
We
this
did,
is kind of-
But I added, we added also the beginning of the second semester. So come Christmas, we have our winter break, right? We come back in January and we have one day and it's all meetings. Which means that if a teacher or anybody needs to get their classroom ready after break, they're doing it at their own time because that day is only meetings.
You have your student teacher do it.
Or you have your student teacher do it.
Shut your mouth.
But there haven't been that many around lately.
Yeah, they're not knocking at the door.
Washburn had 16.
I know.
So are you
So
suggesting we
do a half day.
add?
No, or
Okay.
I'm-
What do you
our question is, why do we have a full day of meetings coming back after a break?
Okay.
Sure. And the idea would be either a half work day or a work day, and that becomes a calendar thing, I'm sure. You wouldn't necessarily object, I'm not saying that you'd be excited about it, but object if you had a work day and a PD day, 2 days when you came back in January. But one of the concerns is that when you come back, there's no time other than the professional development meetings.
Correct.
So what you would like to see is half professional development, half in your classroom.
That would be
Or
ideal.
No
Yes.
professional development and all in your classroom?
We probably do need to meet some.
Yes, like, you're starting a new semester, and depending on where you're at, and even depending on what you're teaching, that could look different.
Could you give us
Right.
an idea, since some of you are from different buildings, what that looks like? When on that professional
I usually
development
miss the
day,
building one. We
for that
usually
day
miss the
that-
building because we have to go to the
Spam.
instead.
Yeah.
Wow.
I see.
And then sometimes things like that or athletics are kind of added to the existing schedule. So some people might have work time, but others might not.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you would like it really just laid out, like you have this.
Mary?
Sorry, there's also been some times when we've had training on curriculum on that day back. So
Correct.
if we've had, new curriculum adopted, and we've spent half that day going in and getting the training on that. So, but usually a half day is really all we need for that.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, Well, like, for example, if you are teaching a semester-long class, you have done your grades and everything for the previous semester, and now you have a whole new class to get ready for. So everything that you would normally have had time at the beginning of the year for in that first semester, you were great. Now for second semester, when you really have the same things to do, you have no time at all.
Unless you did it over your.
Unless you did it over your break, yeah.
Okay.
General language cleanup in the agreement. Do you guys want to, there's a couple of ways we could probably, I agree. I think we, yeah. There's some things in there and you can't change it because you can't change it. That may be something, unless you guys have just a list of things that you have already are aware of that would like to put out. That may be something that, as we get wrapped up, that may just be you and I, Liz, meeting and finishing up on some of the language stuff as we go through and then get it to everybody. I don't want to have everybody have to sit here for extended periods of time. And I know that you're looking excited by the idea of having.
No, I'm trying to remember what I saw that we don't even do anymore.
Yeah.
It was something about requesting leave through your building principal.
Right.
No, it was something.
There are some
There are
things in
some
there
things that I'm not sure we've done for 20 years
Right.
in the negotiated agreement.
Yeah, and
Clean it up.
Yeah.
there are things that need to be fixed, but again, we're a little bit limited when we can't do that unless we have some kind of a deal, but we can figure something out. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I suspect that was the case. Obviously, we'll visit salary. I know that Mr. Wilson has gone around to each of the buildings, and one of the things that he had heard from teachers was that the district needs to address pay with the non-licensed staff. So that's something that we'll look at. Unless you guys are wanting to throw out a number today, and I'm guessing not.
Though I am impressed that we have numbers to work with,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
not usually something that happens this early.
Well, I will tell you, and I want to take a minute. Lisa, having been here and been consistently here, helps us. Because having all that and her being able to work with the system and all the stuff that she does is a tremendous thing, and I can't give her enough kudos for that. As you guys will remember, there have been a few years over the last 5 or so that I would come in here and say, well, we don't have the business director, so I'm trying to come up with the numbers as best we can, and we'll figure it out as we go. So yeah, I'm excited about that too.
I'll be right back.
Anytime that she's taking care of it and I'm not, that's a good thing for all of us.
So how do you guys feel about the negotiating for the non-licensed?
Well, they don't.
We're not allowed.
No, but you said
But as a-
discussing,
As
like
a factor.
having that play a part. I saw Jill shake her head no.
I think it's more, we're just wanting them to be aware of the big remaining
Well,
amount.
yeah, and that's
We
what
have
I'm
to take care of
saying
them
is-
as
Oh, I
well.
think we're very aware of that.
Is more of what,
I mean, I would love,
And sympathetic too,
yeah,
yeah.
but it is a separate conversation.
yeah.
All comes out of the same big pot.
But separate, completely separate entities. You
Yeah.
know? You know what I mean? I was just curious what your thoughts were.
But it's hard to run our programs when they're not paid.
Yeah, I mean, I would love
Very hard,
to have,
especially in this
be
February.
fully staffed with paras.
What is a para paid?
Sad. 1381?
Yeah, it's close to that.
I just
13.50
talked to my
is what they
cousin
say.
today, who's a para at 501.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus,
But like I told her, we can't compare 501 to Seaman because of
plus many we hire last
the money.
1-2 weeks and boom, they're off to another place that they applied about the same time and it's more money.
Next meeting. I know, Liz, I know you would not be here on the 5th and the 12th. I wasn't sure if that meant you were gone the 5th through the 12th, or,
Yes.
and I know Christie's out the 16th to the 20th to the 24th through the 27th.
I'm gone longer than the 12th. I get back on Father's Day,
Okay.
which is the 16th.
I'm also out the 16th. I'm going on my honeymoon starting the 16th.
Hey.
So
So let me throw, I put 3 dates down there, and they're not etched in stone by any means, but just to try and find June 4th,
That's a Tuesday.
that's next Tuesday.
Good for me.
Lindsay?
June 4th.
Oh, good.
Ain't
Oh,
gonna be
good.
out till the 2nd.
But, I mean, you can.
I can do the 4th. It's only a 4 day.
That's next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't give a whole lot. Well, and I, as I was looking at the schedules of people that I knew were going to be gone at certain times, I thought, well, let's try and figure out some of these so that my fear would be if we don't, the days that may be available might disappear as well. So we think June 4th,
At 4:30?
4:30?
yes.
Sounds like the 13th will not work because you will still be gone, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that takes us to maybe July 2nd.
I don't have to be. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, I don't have.
What about the 21st?
If it works for you, then that's fine. Like,
What about Friday the
who wants
21st?
to do Friday? What's wrong with you?
Oh.
Friday?
I can think anything.
I mean, well, I was thinking of me.
Christy, are you gone the 24th?
I don't
yes.
have to be,
I'm in Wichita, unfortunately.
I could meet earlier on a Friday. That's the only thing I was thinking.
Would you want to meet like on Friday morning? I mean,
Can you?
I can't on the 21st, but I have a meeting unless I can get out of that meeting. Which might not be bad.
Maybe earlier than 4:30?
At what time on the 21st?
I just hate going a month
I
almost.
know.
It's like ridiculous.
I am free all day on the 21st.
I can make the 21st work. That's like a.
I think it would
I
be
think
better
that's
to go before the,
2nd
July?
of July.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, ideally,
Yeah.
I think,
I mean,
even today we're making some progress.
Yes.
And doing some stuff, so.
21st, maybe?
Why don't you just
Do
put
we
down
wanna
the
go-
21st? I'll just make it work.
I'll make it work.
21st, June 21st?
Sure. What time?
So the 4th and the 21st? Is that what we have?
Yeah.
The 4th at 4:30. June 21st at what time?
Do you want to go 9 o'clock?
Are you gonna switch your meeting? Or are we gonna?
I'm just gonna try to get out of it.
Okay,
This may be a reason to be able to get out of it.
it's fine.
Let's not record that. Let's think out loud.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yes.
I think I can
9.
make it work. 9?
Yeah.
9?
I just have,
Yeah, good.
I just have to find someone to watch the kids.
I'll
So
just bring
9
it.
a.m. on the 21st,
They might be sitting there.
4:30 June 4th, next Tuesday, 9 o'clock on Friday, June
I'm just gonna have
21st.
every Friday in June.
Do we want to, what about July 2nd? If we need another one.
Yeah.
We're,
I'm available if we want to tentatively, if other people are. It's a Tuesday?
I am also available.
Do we want to maybe tentatively plan for July 2nd then?
Do we want morning or afternoon?
could we please make it the
I have to
afternoon?
do it.
Afternoon. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Where's Scott?
I have to rearrange training plans.
So, to make sure that I'm right, June 4th, 4:30, that's next Tuesday.
No, we can't. I'll rearrange it on the first.
Okay.
June 21st, 9 a.m.
Monday the first.
Yeah, no.
Wednesday the
I have PSY stuff that day.
I didn't put anything on Wednesday the 3rd because I figured the day before the 4th may not be
I was gonna,
a good day.
I was gonna say, we don't have to do anything for ESY till the 5th.
I thought it was the
With
third.
the third?
It's
No,
the
they're having
5th.
it on the
No,
fifth.
because
Yes.
sometimes the third
It's the
falls
5th because we start the 8th.
Oh,
That's not good.
Because we start the 8th.
Easier to rearrange.
I know, Nancy.
I thought it was the third.
It's the,
Your
well, it
building
might
be
be,
the
it might be
No,
the,
it's ESY.
no, it might be,
I think it's the
you
third.
might be right in that it's because we don't work Fridays. It is the 3rd.
Yeah, it's the third.
You're right. I'm wrong.
So, June 4th, 4:30, June 21st, 9 a.m., July 2nd, 4:30.
Yep.
Yes, that sounds fine.
And if we don't need some of those, then we don't need some of those, but we'll have them, and that'll give us that much. Anything else at this point?
Hey, Marty, on special ed funding, the new funding that'll come in, was that number part of this, or is this just what we are currently,
As far
cost of
as
increase? The new monies
additional
that,
funding
the
is
state,
listed with the top on the revenue
okay,
as what's coming in, but then there are more expenditures. And as we've all kind of noticed, the legislature
It's technically not new money though,
Correct.
it's rearranged money.
That is correct.
Yes.
And the
That's
state board
probably a better
hasn't
way to put it.
finalized the formula for that yet, but
Okay.
it's a hot mess.
Anything else that you guys can think of?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Your daughter gave a wonderful speech.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your moving to the high school. I just caught that.
Yes.
I noticed that.
It will be hopefully coming across your.
Uh-huh, probably.
With
It's in the loop.
that,
You're good.
we'll end the official meeting.
Yep.